Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 grades.
That's fine. Okay, so Zeke says, okay, well, what about hemisphere? That's a word that has sphere in it. And then he said, what did you say?
Atmosphere.
Atmosphere. All right. Now we're getting somewhere. Cam, your hand is raised. What do you think?
So the 4 spheres definition, I think, is it stands for the 4 different spheres of the Earth, I think. Lithosphere, I believe it is land. Hydrosphere is water. Biosphere is living things, and atmosphere is air. Correct?
Cam is looking on the worksheet she has on Seesaw.
Do not. I'm not.
No, or I don't know. She might have already just known it. All right. She's like, Miss Bab, don't call me out like that. No, Cam doesn't cheat. We know that about Cam.
She could have looked it up because she waited a little bit to say it.
Cam doesn't cheat. I know Cam. I've known Cam for several years now, like most of you. And she's not a cheater. Okay.
She didn't.
But
she waited a while to say it.
So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to give everybody a worksheet, and you guys should have this worksheet too, okay? And it does have some words on here. It has geosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, and biosphere. And there are 3 columns on this. Hang on. There's 3 columns on this, and the first column says what you think this means. So I'm not going to tell you anything. I want you guys to write down what you think these things mean. What does geosphere mean? What does hydrosphere mean? What does atmosphere mean? What does biosphere mean? I want you no talking. This is you and your brain. Fill that out. Virtual kids, go ahead and do the same thing on your worksheet. Double talking. No, ma'am. It's not what I said at all. The first column that says, what do you think this means? Okay? In this very first column that says, what do you think this means? Tell me, what do you think geosphere means? What do you think hydrosphere means? What do you think atmosphere means? And what do you think biosphere means? This is what we're working on right now. I saw a couple online kids. You just joined us. We are starting something brand new called the 4 spheres today. And I am trying to find out what you already know. Okay, Mr. Z.
Is it peninsula?
Is it what?
Is a peninsula a geosphere? Or is that like?
No. You're not on the right track with that one. Okay, but a peninsula would be wait, which one you said is peninsula part of what?
It's a part of land.
Oh, yeah.
Grace doesn't have it.
All right. Give you like just another second. Sean, you didn't do a thing I asked you to. You're just sitting here staring. Okay. I want to see. I'm walking around. I want to see you guys write something down. If you don't know, take a guess. If you notice on the worksheet, Sean told us that he heard the word sphere in there, and we know the word sphere means like a ball shape, like a 3D ball shape. And so when I see then the prefix geo, what other words have you heard geo?
Like a rock?
Geo. Sean says like a rock.
Like the geograph?
Like geodes, like the type of rock geodes, like the mineral crystal type things, okay? Grayson, you have your hand raised. Same thing, okay? All right.
National Geographic.
National Geographic, okay?
About life and Facebook.
And National Geographic
It's about nature.
About nature a lot of times, agree? Okay? So when we're hearing about, okay, we've heard geodes, a type of rock. Geo, let's hang on, stay with me. Geosphere. What do you think geosphere might mean? What clues can we put together?
Nature and land. Nature.
Parker says land. Let me unpin myself. I don't need to look at myself on the screen. Let me look at you guys. Josie, what do you think when you hear geosphere?
I think definitely land, because whenever I think of everything that has geo in it, it's always something to do with the earth. So it's like land, ground, just not nature almost.
Yes, be careful saying the word nature because parts of nature might be in one of the other spheres. Okay? But thinking about land and rocks and minerals, you're on the right track there. Okay? So then let's look at the next one, hydrosphere. When you hear hydro, what does that make you think of, Sophie? Hydrate. And when you need to hydrate, what are you doing?
Water drinking.
Water drinking. Okay? Any other hydro words? Grayson.
Hydro flask. Well.
Z has a bad problem with interrupting and healed. Hydro flask. Type of water bottle.
That was
Right.
hydrosphere. I know it's something called hydro dipping.
Hydro dipping. It's something that Grayson's mom does with her crafting that she does, making the bottles and whatever. When she hydro dips, what is she doing?
She's basically filling up a 5-gallon bucket with water, and then she's putting certain colors of spray paint in it.
Okay, so when she hydro dips, she's dipping the cups that she's decorating into a 5-gallon bucket of water mixed with paint. Josie, what are your thoughts? I'm sorry, Grace, your hand is raised. Grace, what are your thoughts on this one?
I just wanted to say that I don't have the paper online or in person or like in front of me.
You don't. It should be called, hang on.
It's there.
Grace, it shows that it's assigned to you. Hit refresh on your seesaw. It should be called Science January 6th Earth Spheres.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so we're thinking that geo has to do with land. Hydro, Josie, what are your thoughts?
Actually, the first thing, now that I think about it more, it makes more sense. But the first thing that came to my mind was actually H2O for some reason. And I know that means water. But
Right.
that's the first thing that came to my mind. But
Okay.
now it makes a lot less sense.
What? You're on. All right, Fiona, what do you think?
That was also the first thing which came in my mind, but something else just popped in my mind, like hydrate and hydro. They're kind of are close to the same word. Maybe it does mean.
Right. So when we're thinking about these root words and these prefixes, they have similar meanings. So when we think about hydrate and this hydro dipping that Grayson's talking about, and what was the water bottle?
Hydro flask.
A hydro flask. We're talking about words that all have something to do with water. So the hydrosphere might just have something to do with water. Okay? Atmosphere. Atmo. Anybody have ideas on what atmo might mean? Macy. Be respectful. A water bottle. A water bottle? Hang on. We're leaving behind hydrosphere. I'm talking about atmosphere. Okay, guys?
It's the third thing.
Sean shouts something out and then I shouted it out. Hang on. I like you. Kaylee Floyd, what do you think?
Okay, so I hear my mom talk about atmosphere a lot, and like I guess she means the world, so maybe it's like land or something like that.
Okay. Maybe. Kendall Cole, what do you think? Where's your face?
It's the air around us, and also it's the clouds in the sky too.
Okay, so the air around us, the clouds in the sky. Mads, your hand was raised. Did you have anything different or say?
No, I was gonna say atmosphere, like the air, oxygen. Oxygen.
Oxygen. Lily.
Perfect. It's just like the air around you and how it changes.
Okay, so the air around you and how it changes. So I think everybody, I think of all of the different sphere words, that's probably the one that we're most familiar with. How many of you had heard the word atmosphere before you came to school today?
Atmosphere.
That's probably the one that we all have at least heard the word before and have kind of an idea that we think it's the air around us. Okay, Fiona.
Okay, so the atmosphere is what is around the earth to hold the heat and the air and the oxygen and everything and help with the gravity.
All right, I like that you say it goes around the whole world and it helps hold the heat in. I like that. I don't know if it has anything to do with the gravity. We'll talk about that. Okay. All right, Zeke.
I thought, like, at first I thought of, like, atoms with the atmosphere. Well, it kind of has to do with it because there's, like, air molecules. That's what I
Okay.
thought at first.
So when he first heard atmosphere, he said he was thinking about atoms, like meaning like the tiny bits of like a molecule or whatever. We haven't really learned much about those yet. These glasses keep fogging up. We're-
I hate it.
But then he says, okay, well maybe air molecules. Okay. Josie.
The first thing that came to my mind was definitely wind, because I can infer that since everything around the earth, like the atmosphere, I've heard the word before and I know the meaning, and like Fiona said, it's like all around the earth to like conceal heat, and it lets us oxygen and stuff. So, and then I just think of like the clouds and all the wind, I guess. So
Sure. Like, these are all good thoughts. So now let's think about quickly our final sphere, biosphere. And when you hear bio,
Like biology.
a biography about somebody's life. Life, Lily.
Bio means like a living thing.
Lily says bio means a living thing.
Is it like, oh yeah, is it, if you take like nursing?
Kaylee. She raised her hand.
I remember in fourth grade when we did those like vocabulary words. I think I remember we did bio self on those.
Bio means self. Okay. All right. Cam says Lily's on track. Z.
Bio is like, when I think of like, I feel like, well, my mom took nursing school, so my aunt started currently, and like bioanatomy is what they're learning about. So like that's about the human body and like life. So bio means life, obviously, then, and then so life. It's like our living things around us and like all life.
Okay. So Zeke says it's all living things and life. Like he said, his mom and his aunts have studied nursing, and one of their classes is like a bioanatomy where they're learning about the body and everything. Okay. Have you guys heard of the type of science called biology?
Yes.
Bio, same thing here. Biology is the study of
Life.
living organisms. The things we just finished, all of the body systems, that was a biology unit that we did. That was the type of unit, and we were learning about the different body systems. Okay, Josie.
So as soon as I read the word, I definitely thought of like the class bio, and I knew that that meant learning about the living things and stuff around us. So I just put on my worksheet living things, because it can be like a person or an animal or anything.
Perfect. Okay. What about plants? Sean says, would plants then, if we're talking about living things, would plants be part of the biosphere?
Yeah. part of land, right?
Wouldn't be part of land. A plant is not the ground.
Thing,
A plant is a living thing. The ground is not. Okay, we're going to watch a couple videos, and we're going to see if you guys, how close you are to correct or not.
Okay.
And I have no idea how the sound will work on presenting a video since I've got this new setup, so you guys will have to let me know. Hang on. Where did it go? No.
It ran away.
Rude. Yeah, it totally went away, and I think that's rude. Oh, here it is. Okay.
Ooh, you know what?
Get ready, because Teenage Science is here. GenerationGenius.com educates and inspires students.
Miss Bab, you need to present it.
K-8 has made a partnership with National Science Teaching
Sir, it's not working. Hang on.
Educational for learning about multicellular organisms and
Very loud.
Earth is kind of like a puzzle. And I don't mean a puzzle like, where did my brother put my hairbrush? Or what exactly is in the tacos they serve on Taco Tuesday? I mean that our planet is made up of 4 very different parts.
Mute. It's echoing a bunch.
Miss Bab, please turn off your.
Hang on. Okay, wait. One person talking at a time. So it's glitchy.
Yes, it's echoing.
Okay, let me see if I mute myself, if that helps. Hang on.
I think that would work.
Earth is kind of like a puzzle. And I don't mean a puzzle like, where did my brother put my hairbrush? Or what exactly is in the tacos they serve on Taco Tuesday? I mean that our planet is made up of 4 very different parts that all work together to make Earth the lovely place that we know it to be. We call these parts spheres, and between them, they contain all the stuff on our planet. Everything from the fish in the ocean to the air we breathe. Earth has 4 spheres: the geosphere, the biosphere, the hydrosphere, and the atmosphere. So what exactly are the spheres? And what's in them? Let's take a look at 2, the geosphere and the biosphere. Up first is the geosphere. Geo comes from the Greek word for ground. You may have heard this before in words like geology or geography. It basically means having to do with the earth. And in a way, the geosphere is kind of like the skeleton of our planet. All of the other spheres are built on top of it. It's made up of all the rocks and minerals on Earth, from the biggest boulders to the tiniest grains of sand. And all of the landforms that those rocks and minerals make up are part of the geosphere too. I'm talking volcanoes, canyons, beaches, mountains, you name it. If it's made out of solid earth, it's part of the geosphere. Now, it's important to remember that the geosphere includes only non-living stuff. Living things do need to eat though, and all living things are part of another one of Earth's spheres, the biosphere. Bio is Greek for life, and like geo, you've probably heard it before in words like biology, the study of life. The biosphere is made up of many different biomes. Biomes are regions that have similar kinds of plants, animals, and other living things that have adapted to live in that particular region's terrain and climate. Deserts and forests are types of biomes. So are rainforest, grasslands, and wetlands. All of these biomes and many more make up the biosphere. Okay, now that we know what's in these 2 spheres, let's put them together and try to figure out what belongs to which sphere. Imagine a lovely forest meadow, a bird perched on a rock chirping away, a deer standing in the tall grass, a mountain standing tall in the background, and a stream flowing through the clearing. Ah, I can almost smell it. Almost everything in this scene is part of either the geosphere or the biosphere. Let's see if we can figure out which parts go into which sphere. Let's start with the geosphere. We know that there's nothing alive in the geosphere, so we can rule out all the plants and animals. Water is also part of a different sphere, but we'll talk about that later. When we take away the living things, we're left with all the solid earth parts of the scene. The rock the bird was standing on, the soil the grass was growing out of, the mountain in the distance, and the bed the stream water flowed through. So what we're left with is the geosphere. Rocks, soils, and landforms. Got it? Now let's think about the biosphere. Unlike the geosphere, everything in the biosphere is alive. So the rocks, the mountain, and the stream, they don't count. Now we're just left with the living things, the grass, the birds, the deer. Voila! You found the biosphere. So now you know two of Earth's four spheres, the biosphere and the geosphere. While they're different puzzle pieces of Earth, they work together to help make our planet what it is. Okay, now I gotta go find where my brother put my hairbrush.
Okay, before we watch a video on the other two, let's make sure we define these on our worksheet. So on your worksheet, in the second column over, it says what it actually means. And that's what we're going to fill out now. So at the top, we can now fill out geosphere. What does geosphere actually mean? The land, the ground, rocks.
Soil, sand.
Hang on. Geo, what was the word it said geo stood for? Ground. Ground. Geo stands for ground. And then it says to give some examples of geosphere. So what were some of the examples you guys just said? Dirt, rocks, sand, Lily?
Soil, anything that is made of solid earth.
Anything made of solid earth.
Sand isn't solid.
A piece of sand is a solid. It's a very tiny piece, but it is a solid. And then don't forget that landforms themselves are a part of a geosphere. So volcanoes, mountains, cliffs, canyons, all of those are part of the geosphere as well. Okay?
Lava isn't solid. I have a question. It can be.
Jason has a question.
Accurate. What if the water freezes? Then it's basically a geosphere because it's actually still.
No.
Solid.
It's the ice is still water. Ice is still water. But we're not on hydrosphere yet, okay? All right, so now let's skip all the way to the bottom to biosphere. What did we learn in the video that bio meant? Life. So in your second box, you're going to write life. And then give me some examples of some living things that would be in the biosphere.
Miss Fab, what does okay, so I have this question. So what does food fall under one of these?
Food?
Yeah, because it's usually plant.
So Zeke said, where does food fall? Which sphere is fooded? So corn was once a plant, so it's a biosphere.
What about taco meat?
And taco meat, that was a cow. So that's part of the biosphere.
So they're basically all bio.
What about Cheerios? They're like made of wheat and grains.
Wheat is bio.
Wheat as it grows, it's biosphere.
Bio. What about honey? Oh wait, no, that's living.
Honey from bees, biosphere.
What about so food lives in the bio?
Hang on.
Bread. That made out of processed food.
So now Zeke wants to know about processed food, like the Jolly Ranchers that are in my bottom drawer. The Jolly Ranchers in my bottom drawer.
That comes from sugar.
Because the Jolly Ranchers aren't a living thing.
But they're pure sugar. That's why we eat them.
Okay, but they're not living, and the biosphere is living things. Also,
Wait, so is biosphere basically organisms? Because organisms.
Living things. Yes.
Any living thing. So we're a part of
Any
the
living thing.
biosphere.
Yes. Yes. So humans are biosphere. I'm in the biosphere. Sam Curley, biosphere. Sophie, biosphere. Some of you guys, I scanned your temperature and it was really low this morning. I'm not sure if you're still alive.
Oh, you
Might not be in the biosphere anymore. Okay.
You didn't
Alright.
scan Riley Maggie.
Yeah, I did.
You didn't scan me.
All right, let's watch the other video.
Now you're forgetting stuff. I'm sorry, actually.
Booking a family vacation in a Virgo means leaving.
It's not Virgo, it's Virgo. Virgo. You have to be smart. Hey, nobody said you have to know your hotels. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All the craziness
All right,
behind
guys, listen.
maybe not all of it.
Miss Beth,
Remember when we were putting together the puzzle that is our planet, using the 4 spheres as giant pieces? Well, we got pretty far last time, but we're not done yet. Oh no. That's because, in addition to the geosphere and the biosphere, which we talked about last time, there are 2 more spheres that we need to complete our planetary puzzle. Those are the hydrosphere and the atmosphere. So without further ado, let's dive in. See what I did there? I said that because the first sphere we're going to talk about is the hydrosphere. Hydro comes from the Greek word for water, and all of the water on Earth is in the hydrosphere. This means that every single drop of salt water in the oceans, but also all of the fresh water in lakes and rivers, is in this sphere. And it includes all of the water trapped in glaciers as ice, and the water held deep underground. Now, there's also water in the air around us, too, which we can sometimes see in the form of rain and snow. Those things come from clouds, which happen to be way up in the atmosphere. Our last, but certainly not least, sphere. This sphere contains all of the gases on the planet, which is fitting since atmos comes from the Greek word for air. Although we can't really see the atmosphere or grab onto it, it reaches everywhere and covers the entire planet like a giant snuggly blanket. But our atmosphere blanket isn't all the same. It's split up into many different layers. The troposphere is the lowest layer. It contains 80% of the air on the planet. It's also where all of our weather takes place. Above the troposphere is the stratosphere. There's no weather up there and much less air, but there's still important gases in it that help absorb harmful rays from the sun. The mesosphere is the coldest layer of the atmosphere and sits on top of the stratosphere. There's almost no breathable air up there, and even less in the thermosphere above it, where you might bump into some satellites flying around the planet. The last layer of the atmosphere is the exosphere. That's the highest you can go and still be on Earth. Once you leave the exosphere, you're officially in space, baby. Now, these 2 spheres can be kind of hard to tell apart, so let's investigate at the beach. The beach is the perfect place to take a closer look at what pieces of our environment make up the hydrosphere and which are parts of the atmosphere. The beach is, of course, right next to the ocean, and since the ocean holds most of the water on our planet, it's the biggest part of the hydrosphere. The rivers that flow into the ocean are also a big part, and so is the rain that's just starting to fall on our beach. Well, that's a bummer, but check this out. While the rain is a part of the hydrosphere, the clouds it came from are actually part of the atmosphere, and the wind that pushes the waves around is part of the atmosphere too. Even though we can't see it, the atmosphere is all around us in the form of the air that we breathe. Our planet couldn't be the amazing place we know it to be without the 4 spheres. And it can be a tough puzzle to put together, but the result is pretty amazing. I think you'll agree.
Okay, so on our sheet, hydro means water. Give me examples of that. Parkapoo.
Ocean and river and rain and every drop of water. Remember.
Oceans, rivers, rain, lake, pond, stream.
So saltwater, freshwater.
Saltwater, freshwater, all of it.
So is salt part of the hydrosphere?
If it's in the ocean.
But salt water is salt.
But not salt on its own.
Is
So
it
like the salt in my kitchen on the counter is not.
Is salt geosphere because it's like a solid thing?
It's a mineral.
And it has two things.
Okay, and then finally the atmosphere. What did atmos mean? It was Greek for air. Face that way, dude. So Greek for air, and some examples are, well, the air, and what else?
Clouds.
Wind and clouds. Good. Okay. Now, I think this part is tricky. It says down below, the next question it asks you. Now, she told us on the video, clouds are a part of which sphere?
The atmosphere.
The atmosphere.
No, not the stratosphere.
But listen up.
It's water. It's made out of water because the
Clouds are made out of water.
So it's the hydrosphere.
So should clouds actually be the hydrosphere?
Yeah, because it's like, I don't know, because it's.
Wait, Zeke, what are you thinking? Why?
Okay, I think so. Like we just said, so salt is part of the geosphere, but when it's in the water, it's part of the hydrosphere. So the clouds are water, but it's in the atmosphere. It's in a part of the atmosphere. It's like the aerosphere or something, and that means it's made out of gas, isn't it? Isn't it? No. So then it's in the atmosphere because it's in a part of it, just like salt's in the water.
Okay. So Zeke kind of broke it down in a way. I don't know if you guys heard him. But so if you know the ocean, you know that the ocean water is salt water, which is literally water with salt in it. And so he said, but salt itself, like if we go in our kitchen and we have a salt shaker, right? Salt itself is a mineral. It's part of the geosphere. But when it's part of ocean water, salt is a part of the hydrosphere because it is within the water. So even though a cloud is actually made of water particles, and we learned that, goodness, in 3rd grade, it's up in the first layer of our atmosphere, which I think they said was called the troposphere. I am not good at remembering all of those, but we are going to learn them when we talk and learn more in detail about the atmosphere.
So what is that hemisphere?
Hemisphere, so Zeke is really worried about the hemispheres, and they have nothing to do with this that we're talking about right now, the 4 spheres that make up
space.
Earth.
Okay.
Now, we are actually, what's really funny is fast forward. We're going to fast forward 2 hours to 1:15 when we have social studies, and we're actually talking about hemispheres and social studies today.
What's about social studies today?
What's about social studies today? Something new.
War. Is it a war?
Maps.
Maps? I know.
Anyway, focus. Okay. So we're not worried about hemispheres right now, but so we're going to be talking about each of the 4 spheres in a little bit more detail. Okay. For now, we've got a little bit of an exercise to do. I cannot see who. Oh, Josie, hand raised.
Do we have to put that, or do we just like put our own opinion?
Can you what?
Can we like put our own opinion and stuff?
Yeah, you can put your own opinion on that one. And then the next thing you're going to do is I am going to give you guys, you already have the worksheet. There are pictures for you guys. And you're going to label something that is in each of the 4 spheres and list something that's in each of the 4 spheres. So, and you're going to do this on your own. So each picture you need to label something that is atmosphere, something that is geosphere, something that is hydrosphere, and something that is biosphere. In each of the 4, or how many pictures are there? 3. 3 pictures. So go through those 3 pictures and label each part. You can even write it down below the picture. So like, for example, in this picture, I see that there are people standing on the bank of the river. So down below here, I could just write people, biosphere. Okay, does that make sense? And then but are people the only thing in the biosphere in this picture?
No.
No, you have plenty of examples, okay? And you could write then biosphere, put people. You can write atmosphere, put what you think is the atmosphere. Hydrosphere, what part of the picture is the hydrosphere? And geosphere, which part of the picture is the geosphere? So each picture, you can either circle it and put a label on it, or you can just write it down below, whatever works best for you. Okay, so you guys don't necessarily need to stay on the call anymore at this point. You can go work on your pictures on your own. And then I will see you at 12:35 for writing. Okay, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.
It's bad.